Beyond the buzzer, inside the game, this is SportsIQ with Larry Smith.
That's right, SportsIQ, Larry Smith, producer Tony Cordero, editor Josh Ewing. Glad you're here with us as we get ready here for the holiday week. I don't know about where you guys are, but, after like last week's chill, we kind of got, it's almost like getting that present under the tree and like peeking early on what you got. White Christmas was like, 10 days ago, right? And now, I don't know where you are, we're talking possible 60 degrees here on Christmas and the day after. So I was joking last night that we may be out like on the deck in polo shirts out here this weekend. So kind of crazy. I didn't feel like it should feel like that here for me in the bluegrass. Not sure where you are, but that's kind of crazy. So anyway, it's the holiday week. Hopefully, if you're traveling, you're safe. And again, if you enjoy this, listen to us on Spotify or Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. We're on all of them. We got a great archive of shows as well. So feel free to go look through some other topics there and find what you like and click it, because we're here every day, Monday through Friday, and all our shows are archived right there for your listening pleasure. By the way, speaking of, here's a couple things we're going to do. We've got some special things for the holidays because, yes, we have families too. So we're doing one show that's going to tomorrow. It's going to rerun on Christmas Day because we figure that most people, a lot of you may not be, listening on Christmas Day. So we don't want you to miss it, or you're traveling Wednesday and, whatever. So Wednesday show will play again on Thursday just to give our families, our team a break. And then another show on Friday. It's a different show. And by the way, be sure to check in these shows. We have some very unique college football playoff trivia for you on these, and some great interviews, some of our favorite interviews recently that we're going to replay. We just had recently Matt Morrison on, the former CNN sports anchor, former UCLA baseball player. His daughter, Marin, died of a brain tumor at age 18, and she was a fantastic swimmer. Has a new book out called Touch, the Marin Morrison story. It was a really good segment that we really enjoyed, and we thought you would too. So that's on there. And then the high school football coach from Minnesota, whose team has not won a game this century, was another very interesting interview. So that was one. And some time ago, I mentioned the former NFL quarterback, Eric Kramer, and who attempted suicide and lived. Thank God that he lived. Had a birthday last month. We'll run that interview for you on Friday. And that's one that Eric, bless his heart, really just opened up and really shares what he went through, his journey. And again, it's really inspirational. Hopefully you'll get a chance to enjoy that as well. Coming up here today, we've got our friend Adam coming in, talking from the Sun Sentinel, talking about the Miami Hurricanes and the big win they had in College Station to advance to the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. That's on the way. And then Michael Warren from Heavy.com talking NFL, all things NFL. By the way, warn you, he's an Eagles fan, but he's not an obnoxious Eagles fan. So there you go. That's all coming up. Okay, week 18 the NFL closing with a serious thud by the Indianapolis Colts. After week 9 of the season, the Colts stood at 7-1 atop the AFC playoff picture. Injuries to the already thin defense and then to Daniel Jones and the offensive line have really derailed what Indy once thought was going to be a very promising dream year. Last night, 49ers coming in, told their punter to take the night off and proceeded to thrash the Colts 48-27. Brock Purdy throwing a career-high 5 touchdown passes. Christian McCaffrey chipped in with 117 yards on the ground. D. Winters returned an interception at Phillip Rivers. Final pass, 74 yards for a score. Niners have now won 5 in a row. Indy has dropped 6 of their last 7, and the playoffs, they go bye-bye. With the 49ers win, the Bills, Jags, and Chargers all punching their tickets to the AFC postseason. Now, that wasn't the only news out of the NFL on Monday. Steelers wideout DK Metcalf was suspended for 2 games following a sideline altercation with a fan during the team's 29-24 win over Detroit. The league making this announcement on Monday. As a result, Metcalf will miss the final 2 games of the regular season. He's expected to appeal the suspension. If it's upheld, it'll cost him almost $278,000 per game, or just over $555,000 in total, $500,000. And those missing those 2 games. The other big news off the field: the Kansas City Chiefs are on the move after spending 62 years in Kansas City, Missouri, the Chiefs announcing they are moving to Kansas after the team made a deal to build a new domed football stadium with the help of some government tax revenue. The CEO and chairman Clark Hunt saying, we have entered into an agreement with the state of Kansas to host Chiefs football beginning with the 2031 NFL season. In the years ahead, we look forward to designing and building a state-of-the-art domed stadium and mixed-use district and a best-in-class training facility, team headquarters and mixed-use district in Olathe, totaling a minimum of $4 billion of development in the state of Kansas. Just some huge news. They've been in Arrowhead Stadium since 1972. They were considering an $800 million renovation of that stadium, and then this happened. They got a better deal, financially, tax breaks from Kansas than they did in Missouri. So they're heading west on this. And again, 2031. If you've been in the area, it's near the Kansas Speedway and the local MLS stadium, if that gives you any idea of kind of where they are. But by the way, as for Arrowhead, several more seasons of Chiefs football there, and also they will host 6 World Cup matches there next summer. So there you go. Some news in college football now. A rivalry that in the past 81 years has only been stopped by world wars and a global pandemic will go on hiatus due to the new world of college football. Notre Dame and USC hitting the pause button on a rivalry that dates back to 1926. Both schools announcing the pause and said they hope to have the rivalry back up and running in 2030. The Irish moving quickly to secure a new opponent for 2026 and 2027, adding BYU to the schedule. The first game will be in Provo next year. As we mentioned earlier, college football again. We've got a week off this week before we get to the college football quarterfinals. Great games last weekend, one of them including the defensive slugfest at Texas A&M. Miami coming out the winner and the surprise as the road team. They were the underdog. Adam Lichtenstein joining us once again from the Sentinel, covers the Hurricanes 365. Adam, good to talk with you. Welcome back. Happy holidays. You were in College Station for this. Look, this was intense sitting on the couch watching. What was that like there? That it just, literally neither team to win was a big part of it too. Neither team could just get anything going on this.
Yeah. Hey, Larry, first, thanks for having me and happy holidays. Being there, it was a crazy intense environment. Like a buddy and I went to Midnight Yell the night before, which is always, it's a unique event. Like, you get 30, 40,000 people in the stadium at midnight the night before 11 o'clock kickoff. Like the passion is unmatched. And then, once you get to the stadium, again, 11 a.m. kickoff, but it was still crazy loud, crazy intense. The press box there sways when they do the war hymn and stuff, which is unsettling. But yeah, the game, I've heard from people say, like, watching on TV that the game was boring and whatever. And in person, it very much was not. It was very intense. You could tell that the game hung on every single play.
Mm-hmm.
So while there wasn't much offense, it wasn't so much that the offenses were bad, in my opinion. It was that the defenses were excellent. And that kind of game, it's like a pitcher school in baseball. It's like, yeah, there's not any home runs, but, you can enjoy a pitcher, getting 20 ground ball outs or 15 strikeouts or whatever.
Yeah. It really was like watching, like, I don't know, like Maddox and Pettit, like back in the 90s. It really was that kind of game where, and boy, whoever, you don't have to have 50 points scored in a game to make it exciting. And to your point, that was one way, and you're exactly right, especially in the second half. Literally, like you said, every single play was something. 2 outstanding defenses. And I really thought over the weekend, I love a game when I'm disappointed that one team has to lose. And I thought with both games this weekend, that fit the bill. That you had, in those 2 games, you had 4 teams that were very evenly matched. And to me, that's what this expanded college playoff should be about.
Yeah, I agree. I watched most of the Oklahoma Alabama game the night before, and definitely don't check my tweets from around the middle of the second quarter where I was saying Alabama doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs. Don't check me on that. But that was a great game. And then this game was just like back and forth. Like I said, the offenses weren't doing a whole lot, and like it could have been a little bit different. Like the wind, I know everyone's kind of talked about it. The wind was a factor. The flags were ripping. At one point, I looked down on the field and I could see the referee's pants like blowing in the wind, and I'm like, okay, it's legit. Like, and if you watched Miami's kicker missed 3 field goals, the first one that he missed, straight up, it's going right down the middle, and it's like it got stopped. It's like someone just reached out and stopped it and pushed it to the side, which was nuts. Like the wind was no joke, and I think that obviously that affected the kickers. And I think it affected the quarterbacks too, especially Carson Beck. Like Miami only tried one or two kind of downfield shots. Everything else was quick and short, or the running game. So I think the conditions definitely affected that, and made things more perilous for both teams. But we'll have to deal with that next week at the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, exactly. And to your point, that does affect, and it helps the defense because you know that you don't have to drop back in coverage, 20 yards. Everything's going to be right here in front of you, and that makes the defense perform even more. And by the way, I'll go on the record that when it was 17-0 Oklahoma, and I'm like, oh my God, I mean, Alabama is just, they might lose by 40. My wife said they're going to come back. And so, yeah, my wife knows more than I do. So
Yeah, the problem is Oklahoma can't score 40. That's the problem.
Exactly. You're exactly right. So, well, tell me this, Miami, with all the conversation, the ACC, and the entire last back part of the season, the CFP rankings each week, they were always just sitting just outside the top 10. Was this some vindication for them in the locker room, and later talking to the coaches and the players, that did they kind of take some extra joy in this, in terms of people saying, gee, they shouldn't be there, should be Notre Dame, should be Texas, etc.?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say they maybe took extra joy in it. I think they definitely felt like that, maybe that little bit of extra pressure though, because Mario Cristobal, he was on, every show, every podcast, every ESPN broadcast he could get on, in like that week between the penultimate rankings and the final rankings, trying to make Miami's case. And he said kind of all throughout, he's like, last year when Miami was 10-2, he felt that they had to make an argument. Like, this is why we should be in the playoff over these teams, and like, here is our argument. And he's like, this year, it felt like he just needed to tell people what happened and remind them of what happened. And because I think it kind of relates to the fact that, like, for Miami, it just was kind of common sense that they should be in over Notre Dame. Like, if it was Miami versus Alabama or Miami versus Oklahoma, you can make an argument. But I think even the most, layman, casual sports fan would say, oh, these two teams have the same record and they played each other and one team won, that team should be in. And that's why you saw it kind of like break contain from just like college football media to national media, like national sports media, to all the way up to the White House, where you have, Marco Rubio in a cabinet meeting talking about it. Like, that's how kind of broke contain. So I felt like, I don't know if they took extra joy in that side of things, but I think they definitely proved to everyone, like, hey, we do deserve to be here. What they did take extra joy in, I think, was beating A&M. Ruben Bain held up his phone screen, and he had taken a little umbrage to a comment made by one of A&M's offensive linemen, who, when asked about Bain, said, like, yeah, we don't think he's going to be much of a threat. Well, they made Ruben Bain angry, and you won't like him when he's angry, because he had 3 sacks in the game and was as disruptive as ever. So I think they took joy in that, but I don't know if they took joy just over like proving that they deserve to be there, because I think they already felt they did.
Yeah. Mario Cristobal has done a great job with this program in a few years that he's been there. The former, of course, Hurricane lineman back in the day when I used to watch him playing. What does this mean for him in terms of, he's taken some criticism last year? There's the controversial play and the loss. I think it was Georgia Tech they lost, I think.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. I mean, is this, again, for him, kind of, does it get over the hump, so to speak, for Cristobal?
Yeah, I think so. And he's always going to have critics, and like, he's not a perfect coach. He's got his flaws. But I mean, how many perfect coaches like are there? There's, you had Nick Saban, who was basically a perfect coach. You could say maybe Kirby Smart is a perfect coach, basically. Other than that, like, everyone else is imperfect and flawed. And I think game management might be one of his flaws. But he's an excellent program builder. And you look at where this program was 4 years ago. When he got in, one, you're talking about a program that hadn't really been nationally relevant in 20 odd years. They had one 10-win season in 20 years. And in that 10-win season, they were poised to make the playoffs, but then lost their last, last game of the season, missed the playoffs, get crushed in the ACC title game, lose in their bowl game. So it's 10-3 with a sour taste in everyone's mouth. So that's where Miami was when he took over. He comes in and they were bad. They were 5-7 that first year. They lost to Middle Tennessee State at home, and it was not close.
Yeah.
Like, that was 4 years ago. There are players on the team right now who were on that team on the field that day. They go 5-7, and then the next year they take a small step forward. They go 7-6, make a bowl game. But the key thing was that he was starting to bring in his recruits and his transfer portal guys. In after the 2022 season, he brought in Mark Fletcher. He brought in Ruben Bain. He brought in Francis Maui-Noa. And he started building this core of the team that has been there and stuck it out. Didn't transfer. Everyone can transfer any year. They all stuck through it. They They went 10 and they go from 7-6 in 2023 to 10-2 last year, on the verge of the playoffs. If they were this close, and they blew it, and it was no one's fault but themselves. They blew it. They had a 21-0 lead at Syracuse, and they lost it. But they did take a step forward. That's a 10-win season. This year, kind of the same deal. They lost to two teams they probably shouldn't have lost to, but those are decent teams. They sneak into the playoffs because they got that signature win over Notre Dame at the start of the year, and they won this first playoff game that they've been in. They won it in Cristobal fashion. They won it with running. They ran it with just dominating the trenches. That's Mario Cristobal ball. Like, that's what he wants to do. That's his ideal game, basically. So yeah, I mean, it really just shows how far this program has come since Cristobal took over. I mean, they've gone from being, like I said, a laughing stock, totally irrelevant on the national stage, to now they're a team that won a playoff game. They are they have a chance to make a really big statement if they could beat Ohio State.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Cristobal, back-to-back 10-win seasons now, and I teased earlier that we're going to have some college football playoff trivia later on here this week. Cristobal, the fourth Hurricanes coach to post back-to-back 10-win seasons. Johnson, Erickson, and Coker. No Schnellenberger, and they're kind of surprised to see that he did not do that. That was a shocker. So yes, as you said, your reward in all this is New Year's Eve. Woohoo! The defending champs, they're at the Cotton Bowl. What concerns you? And I know it's a long list, I'm sure, about taking on the Buckeyes, the Big Ten runner-up, but certainly one of the favorites to get the championship.
2 words: Jeremiah Smith. I've watched Jeremiah Smith play since he was a sophomore in high school, and I watched him. I just lead the most dominant high school offense I think I've ever seen. We're talking about an offense that had Jeremiah Smith, Miami wide receiver JoJo Trader, NC State quarterback CJ Bailey, former UNC running back Davion Gauss, and D1 offensive lineman. Unfair against their competition, but he has always been the guy to watch on the field. You can't take your eyes off him. And when he got to Ohio State, before his freshman year, I said, this kid, he's 18 years old. He can start on 90% of college rosters day one. And I was wrong, because the answer is 100%. He can start on every college roster. He could probably start on an NFL roster. He's just that good. He's a generationally great player. And Miami's defense is good. They're very good. And their corners are good. But they don't have the number one corner in the country. They don't have, no one has a cornerback who can match up with Jeremiah Smith. So he's going to get he's probably going to get between 70 and 150 receiving yards and a touchdown or two. If that's all Ohio State gets, Miami can win. If that's just part of it, Miami's in trouble. But he's just a dominant player. And it's a very interesting subplot, because he's obviously, like I said, he's from South Florida, played with a bunch of players who are on the Hurricanes roster now. He's talking a little bit of smack yesterday, nothing too egregious, but a little bit. So just watching him against Miami, it's a very, very intriguing storyline.
Yeah, he is special. And one thing Ohio State has done, and I would too if I were calling the shots there, if I was smart enough to draw up plays on that level. I know in a lot of games, because he does get so much attention, they'll send Carnell Tate long, and because he'll have one-on-one coverage, because the secondary, rightly so, they're focused so much on Smith that it leaves him in single coverage, and it's resulted in some big plays for them throughout the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jeremiah Smith, it's Ohio State. They've got a ton of great players, ton of great playmakers. So if you are able to limit Jeremiah Smith to a okay game, then they have Carnell Tate. Then they've got running backs. They've got Bo Jackson, who I can't believe his name, Bo Jackson.
Oh.
They've got Julian Sainz, a really good quarterback, and their defense is fantastic too. It's a wealth of riches that no one else, I think, maybe. Probably no one else. I was gonna say maybe except for Georgia, but no, Georgia doesn't have that either. Ohio State is just the richest of the rich, and there's a reason why they were number one almost wire to wire.
Yeah. No, I can't argue with that at all. So going through this game again, it's 7:30 kickoff, ESPN. They're in Arlington, Texas, and the winner goes on to face either Georgia or Ole Miss in the semifinals in the Fiesta Bowl. What concerns you about this? Obviously, Jeremiah Smith, but what does Miami have to do other than stopping him to get this win?
They have to get their offense back on track. Again, it's hard to say given the conditions. They were not throwing the ball downfield. They were, and A&M did a great job of bottling up Malachi Toney. So it's hard to say whether Miami's offense was quote unquote bad or just limited in what they could do and did enough to win. But they have to get it back on track. They have to get back to the way they were rolling the end of the regular season. Carson Beck has to be a bigger part of the game. He was fine. He didn't the biggest thing. He didn't turn the ball over. In the whole game, that was the biggest thing. He completed 70% of his passes, but for only 104 yards. And again, part of that is A&M's game plan was really good, and they locked down Malachi Toney, and the Hurricanes didn't get another receiver to make a big play. But Miami has to figure that out over the course of the next 10 days, because I don't think they'll be able to run Mark Fletcher for 170 yards against Ohio State. As good as Mark Fletcher is, as good as Gerard Pringle is, I don't think they're going to have that same kind of success just running the ball down people's throats again. So they have to get the passing game moving again, have to get the offense clicking again, because 10 points is not going to cut it against Ohio State.
No, you're exactly right. We mentioned they get past Ohio State. It's now the semifinals. Georgia or Ole Miss. Who do you like in that game?
Georgia. I've never been super high on Ole Miss. I don't know why. I know they're good. I'm not saying they're bad. I've just never been super high on them, and Georgia's playing great football right now. I mean, the last time we saw them, they just, obliterated Alabama. So they're clearly playing well. They've had a month, basically a month off to rest. I think Georgia probably wins that game 7-10, give or take.
Yeah.
7-10 points, not 10-7.
I got you. Exactly. Yeah, I got you. Well, Adam, listen, man, again, happy holidays, happy New Year, safe travels to Dallas. Appreciate your time as always. Look forward to chatting again in 2026.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
All right, but appreciate it. Adam Lichtenstein once again joining us. He is the Hurricanes beat writer for the Sun Sentinel, and again is Miami, the 10 seed, another first 10 seed to advance in this new world of college football, taking on the 2 seed defending champion Ohio State Buckeyes in the Cotton Bowl on New Year's Eve in the CFP quarterfinals. All right, we got more to come. Still to come on the way is, again, we've got Michael Warren talking NFL. We'll also talk a little NBA up next, college basketball, big night Monday night as well. That's all ahead on the SportsIQ.
You're listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
Great stuff there with Adam, and man, some great points. Guys, defensive slugfests they're okay. It's okay. 10-3 is okay. I know it's rare, but man, that was a fantastic game. Let's just enjoy all the college football that the football gods have given us in this new era, the year of our Lord 2025. Okay, college basketball. The rankings coming out on Monday. Arizona still atop the AP poll after the very good week. Michigan, they're still number one, if you ask the coaches, number one in their poll. Iowa State, by the way, climbing up to number 3 in the AP, followed by UConn and Purdue. Duke, after that loss to Texas Tech, what a comeback, 17 points down. Red Raiders, big win for them in New York over the weekend. Duke drops down to number 6. Gonzaga is at 7. Houston, Michigan State, BYU rounding out the top 10. On the court, freshman guard Keaton Wagler, a career-high 5 3-pointers, a game-high 22 points to lead number 20 Illinois to a 91-48 rout of Missouri Monday night. Andrei Stojakovic returned from a first-half injury to score 16 points. Tomislav Ivicic added 14 points as the Fighting Illini rolled to the most lopsided victory in the history of the bragging rights rivalry. If you are from the Midwest, you know this is traditionally kind of the game holiday week. It is a big deal. They play it there in St. Louis at the Blues Arena. Seats like 18,005 or something. It's like half the arena is black and gold, half the arena is orange and blue. 91-48. Missouri held to under 29% shooting, their worst shooting night in 4 years. And the 48 points, 38 points under their season average. They usually score 86 points per game. So a lopsided win there for Illinois. From the NBA last night, Golden State Warriors coach Steve Kerr and veteran forward Draymond Green had a heated exchange during an early third quarter timeout, causing Green to leave the bench and miss the final 20 minutes of the 120-97 win over Orlando. The Warriors were trailing 71-66 at the time of the back and forth. Green had just committed a turnover and had been engaging with an official when Kerr called timeout, tried to herd his team to the huddle, saying he felt they were just not focused. That's when the argument occurred. Here's what Kerr said. We had it out a little bit. He made his decision to go back to the locker room to cool off. That's all I'm going to say about it. Everything is private. Well done. Spoken by a veteran coach who's won a lot of championships. From the baseball offseason, the LA Dodgers, baseball's 2-time defending champion, will pay a record-smashing $169.4 million. It's so big I can't even say it. $169.4 million in competitive balance tax for this 2025 season. Buy it and the wins will come. This is according to the Associated Press. That's based on a $417.3 million CBT payroll that is easily the highest in baseball. The 2025 Dodgers are, by a wide margin, the most expensive roster in baseball history. Remember when the Yankees always were way out in front? Things have changed now. The Dodgers spend like they're printing money there in Chavez Ravine, and I guess really they are. The CBT threshold was $241 million in 2025. Tax rates escalate the more that you exceed that threshold, and they're also based on how many consecutive years you pay the CBT. So the Dodgers are a repeat offender and were hit with the highest tax rates, which include a 110% tax on every dollar spent over $301 million. That threshold is known as the Steve Cohen tax, named after the Mets owner. Now, keep in mind what the Dodgers paid in tax, not how much they spent on salaries, but it's what they paid in tax, just the tax alone. Hang on, hold on. Hope you're sitting down or pull over. This is crazy. What they paid in tax is more than what 16 teams paid in salary during the 2025 season. Let me give you that number again. $169.4 million in tax. That number is more than what 16 teams paid in salary. So now you know why next December 1, when the baseball CBA expires, the owners will once again be pushing for a salary cap that works like the other major pro sports in North America. That number is insane, but it reminds me of what we just talked about, the Golden State Warriors, and what their ownership said. Yeah, we got a tax coming. Yeah, it's okay. Because what they built with Steve Kerr as the coach, Steph Curry as a superstar, and all the other stars around them, including, yes, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson was there, Andrew Bogut in the middle at one time, Andre Iguodala, the veteran, very versatile forward, strong bench play. What they built, really, they had the need and built the Chase Center, that brand new arena right there. That's just a gorgeous facility. And remember, when they were moving into that, I believe I read that, or somewhere, that their sponsorships for the next year were already sold out, like $2 billion in sponsorships or something. It was something insane. So for them, because the franchise was valued several times over what they paid for it, I think they paid maybe $400 million, maybe. It's now worth $4 billion. And so to go pay a luxury tax of, whatever the money was, just didn't matter because they were in the black. They made so much money. And I feel like for the Dodgers as well, they make so much money and they won back-to-back titles. So yeah, you can guarantee the owners try to figure out, how to change that up. So, all right, there you go. All right, NFL Talk next with Michael Warren right here.
You're locked in to Sports IQ with Larry Smith.
As we continue here talking about NFL and getting ready for really the end of the season. Hard to believe we're already here. Michael Warren joining us once again from Heavy.com. Micah, good to see you. Happy holidays. Let's start in the AFC. And the two teams that met this past weekend, we might see again here in the playoffs. Two of the great stories in the NFL, Denver and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So start with Jacksonville. What has happened with this Jaguar team right now? The resurgence here in the second half of the season to finally get to where Trevor Lawrence had always hoped to get to as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, who'd have thought? And that's one of the teams I've covered. And so going into the season, it was typical Jacksonville going into the season. And I guess Liam Cohen has to be up for coach of the year because Trevor Lawrence, I don't know about you, I was not thrilled they gave him that second contract. And I'm thinking, a little bit of a bent over the barrel situation where it's like, what are you going to get? And you either keep him and sign him for this. That's what he's going to get. I know they would have loved to get rid of Etienne over the offseason. And all of a sudden, he's having a really good year. Somebody down there, and it's probably Cohen. I'm not the biggest Gladstone fan. I love Travis Hunter, but it seemed like a fantasy football trade. Look, guys, I'm only 34, and I got two players for one. Like, they may ruin Travis Hunter. We'll see. I love Travis Hunter, but we'll see what happens with that. But they really did come from next to nothing to now they're leading the AFC South, which you wouldn't think is a huge accomplishment because in general, it's not. The third place team, a month ago, Larry, was number 1 seed in the AFC.
Right.
Now they're essentially left for dead. Steichen went from playing for coaching for his job to, hey, look at me, I'm probably getting an extension, to I might be coaching for my job again because I don't know what you do with Dan Jones there. You can't do Anthony Richardson. They're done with him. Jones is up and now he's hurt and you're whatever. So that division actually turned out this. I think Houston's won 7 in a row.
They have.
Jacksonville's won 6 in a row. And all of a sudden the AFC South is interesting. We'll believe it when we see it with Jacksonville, but for right now, and this is kind of something we had talked about last time, nobody's that good in the entire NFL. Nobody is that good, but there's a lot of really good teams. I mean, if you look, Detroit probably isn't going to even make the playoffs. If whoever you're a fan of, would you be thrilled to play them in the first round? No, you wouldn't look at that and be like, "Oh, we got this." No way. And in past years, some of those 7th seeds that slip in made you think about, why do we have this format? This team doesn't belong here.
Right.
They're just here to get pasted by the 2 seed.
Yeah.
We don't have that this year. So the Jaguars, to your point, they have who can't they beat? Who can't be beaten? They just beat, quote unquote, it was a week or two ago, social media was like, finally, the Broncos are the best team in football, but not unbeatable. And the Chiefs are done. They're not a problem anymore. Josh Allen still hasn't done it. The way Trevor Lawrence is playing right now, why not them? I'm not a gambling man outside of fantasy football. I don't know that I would bet on anyone. The odds probably aren't good, and anyone could do it. Would you be surprised at any 2 that come out into the Super Bowl this year?
No.
I mean, a little surprised with the Jags, but
the Bears, I'd still be stunned. I'm not on
the Bears train yet. I can't get on the Caleb Williams train.
Not either.
There's just something about him that bugs me. Athletic freak. I mean, guy can do everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are a couple teams that you're still got the little fraud alert on.
Yeah.
But hey, it's all about playing your best at the right time, provided you're in the dance, because you don't want to be like the Bengals last year and rattle off 5 or 6 in a row, but it's too little, too late.
Right. Yeah. I just think, to your point, we've talked about again, like you said, the Broncos, Patriots. Now that Jacksonville's in, Houston's a team, another team you would not, with that defense, you would not want to face in the playoffs. And C.J. Stroud has come back from concussion protocol. We discussed in yesterday's show, and he's playing well. To your point, and then you've got Pittsburgh. The Steelers, all of a sudden, they look like they were left for dead. They
won't die.
Yeah, it's like Austin Powers. Why won't you die?
Yeah, and the Ravens are gonna not let them die. Because, and everyone made a big deal about the Ravens. By the way, if I'm all over the place, just, steer me, because I will just ramble.
We're good. No.
Even the Ravens lost some when Lamar was out. They were losing with Lamar, and they've been losing with Lamar. I know he went out last night. But they have had problems all year. What are they, 7-8? The Steelers have like a 2-game lead.
Yeah.
No one really scares you from that division necessarily. But like we said, could the Steelers do something? Why not? Honestly, I look at every team and say, why not? Because there isn't that one powerhouse in either conference where you're like, no way, they're not losing.
Yeah. And isn't it weird almost that, because we had Kansas City as always the team that we knew no matter what else happened, the Chiefs were going to find a way to be there, like, in the end, in the Final Four, if you will. And so it's one, you almost wonder if this is sort of a passing of the guard. Not only Mahomes out, probably till Labor Day at least, right? And then now his backup Minshew is out as well, and so it's almost where Kansas City has been, in my mind, and I mean this with all the respect I can, because I think to do what they've done, what the Patriots did, what the Cowboys did, to do it over several years, you've got to have some luck, and you've got to also have some skill and make some shrewd decision making and some health. All the things have to come together to have that kind of run, right?
Sure.
Kansas City had that. And I think now it's a thing where, is Travis Kelce going to retire? He's getting older. Mahomes is now 30. So where is his peak? When that, we've seen guys come back from injury, and I'm sure he'll be fine. But you have to start to begin to ask those questions. It's hard to have that $50 million quarterback and still build a team around you who's going to compete for a championship. They've managed to do that, still get to Super Bowls since he started this massive contract thing. But when does this run end for the Chiefs?
Well, it's looking like a lot of people wanted to put the dirt on their grave in the Super Bowl last year, and I was like, well, easy. I mean, they ran into a buzzsaw.
Yeah.
And I'm proud. I am an Eagles fan, so I was very excited about that. I've never had a blowout championship win in any sport, believe me. But I was like, they're still the Chiefs. The Chiefs were favored in that game, and all of a sudden, 3 hours later, they're garbage, and the whole dream is over. Now, I kind of thought that throughout the year. It looks like this year, losing too many weapons that aren't getting replaced, guys getting older. Kelsey is not only not what he was. I mean, interceptions are clanking off his hands. Catches he should be making are turning into turnovers. And I don't know if you've seen any of the clips from the Super Bowl. Like there was a play where Pat is running for his life, and Kelsey's standing there. Like, dude, the play's still going on. It's fine if you're mentally checked out. I'm not hating on you. You're a human being. You've got other things to do. I think it's time. I think he's ready to move on, which is fine. But that's a big piece of their offense because they did get rid of Tyreek Hill a few years ago. They're relying on Unworthy. And some of these other receivers that I don't even know who they are, or they're old retreads, or never, a Hollywood Brown that was always okay. He never lived up to his first round status. I don't understand why anyone traded a first round pick for him, but none of my business. But you as you erode, all of a sudden these things will add up. And as we saw yesterday, man, if it wasn't for Mahomes, might even ask for a raise and be like, you see what happens when I'm not here? Exactly. This is terrible.
We lost two while I'm out. Yeah.
And I do think one of the things with the Chiefs in this position right now, one of the things that they would be that I would be okay with for them is if they had a young quarterback they didn't know much about. Now's the time to throw him in. We're seeing it with the Dolphins. Tua, we're out. Tua, see ya. Let's see what Quinn Ewers can do. Find out going into next year what we have a little bit, right? Yeah. Chiefs don't really have that. I don't even know who's coming in now or what their plan is. Not that it matters. But now would be a perfect time for the Chiefs to see, like you said, Mahomes is 30. I'm not ready to get rid of him by any means. Yeah. He's still one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah.
But it's Chris Jones isn't getting younger.
Yeah.
They lost Tooney, the guard that was playing tackle last year. He went to the Bears, I think. Well, that adds up.
Yeah.
You can only take on so much water.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think that's where, again, you look back at New England and how we heard later, we kind of ignored at the time, and later on, once Brady went to Tampa and said, "I'm ready to get fully paid," how year in, year out, he would restructure his contract and take pay cuts to make sure you got certain guys in to keep the winning going. And after a while, the way the NFL salary cap is structured, I mean, it's just what it comes down to. I'm going to get over to the team you mentioned that you root for, the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles. A long way to get there, but they clinch the East here this weekend with the win over the Commanders. What do we expect from Philly coming up here in the playoffs? They've had some big wins, but they've also had been on the struggle bus some weeks.
You find me one person on the planet that could answer that question accurately, and good on you. I mean, it's like I said, I'm not a gambling man, but I'm telling you, anybody that does gamble, I wouldn't wager for, against anything related to Philadelphia Eagles. I wouldn't do it. The offense early on, it was Kevin Patullo, the play caller. I mean, everyone was killing him. He's got to go. He's got to go. These play calls are terrible. And as the season goes on, you're looking at these route trees. And I was telling my friend Luther Broughton, who played for the Eagles and Panthers years ago as a tight end. And I was like, Luther, it looks like we're constantly in a 2-minute offense with no timeouts. 8 yards to the sideline, 6 yards. They're all hitch routes. If you're telling me A.J. Brown is this great player with the ball in his hands, and he is, why is everything coming back? It's 3rd and 10. Let's come back to the ball for 8 yards. And you're just watching the stagnant offense, and the offense really does at times look, everything is effort. It's so hard for them to do anything. And what people don't want to say is this line, it's not a bad offensive line. It's pedestrian. And it was dominant for years. And I don't want to hear that Lane Johnson's out. Yes, he is. Now you have, what Mekhi Becton left last year. So you have Steen at right guard. I don't want to bore anybody. I know this is getting into the weeds. And Fred Johnson at right tackle. Well, it adds up. At a certain point, now that right side of your line they aren't clearing holes the way they used to. The penalties are racking up. Penalties are what happened when you get beat. That's when they happen.
Exactly. And I'm saying, again, like we said before, I mean, Bears, I'm a long-suffering Bear fan. I go back to, again, I never thought I'd ever see a coach fired after a 10-win season, but the Bears did that to Lovie Smith back in the day. This is now only their second double-digit win season since then, like in 12 years or so, or 13 years. Still not, but a lot of close wins. The cardiac kids find a way to get it done. That's good for them. But I'm really more impressed with what Seattle has done this year. And Sam Darnold, I think what we saw with Daniel Jones before he was injured in Indy, the same with Sam Darnold, somebody who, is kind of put on the scrap heap. Yeah, serviceable part. He's a good backup. We'll see what happens. Resurrected his career last year in Minnesota and has taken that success. And they're in Seattle. I mean, 12-3. That to win that game, just epic Thursday night. That to go one up on the Rams in that division. Where you've got also the Rams 11 wins and the Niners at 10 wins. I mean,
crazy.
The most competitive division in the NFL, and right now they're sitting on top of it.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Darnold and Dan Jones. Minnesota had them both last year.
Yeah, that's true.
And now they're looking at McCarthy like, I don't think this is the guy. Now what? But no, Seattle's been impressive, and that Njigba Smith, he's got to be a top 5 wide receiver. I know he was up there in catches for a long time. I think Trey McBride might have the lead in catches now, very quietly in Arizona because they're just the most whatever team in the history of sports.
Yeah.
But no, Seattle's been good. And I guess the question is, do you trust Darnold? I don't know that was all his fault last year in the playoffs when they just were terrible. But it does make you question it, right? It depends on, but again, nobody's that good. Are they good enough to beat anybody in front of them? Yes, they are. And you can't, what is it, 12-3? Is that what you said they are? That's not an accident.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned the Bears and some fluky close stuff. Still not an accident. You found ways to win because as you know, as a Bears fan, I know as an Eagles fan, when you're bad, it's every week. What are we going to do this week? Is it going to be penalties, drop passes, fumbles, something? Yeah. You find ways to lose. And teams like the Bears, the Seahawks, they're finding ways to win. And I don't know about you. I'm pretty excited for these playoffs. This is what the NFL wants, right, Larry? Right. This is what they wanted, was the parity. Yeah. And they've got it. There is a lot of interest in many cities across the NFL for people and fans that believe their team can do it. And truthfully, they can. Yeah. Seattle is one of them. And no one, mentioning the Bears, the Seattle and the Bears, no one's really talking about them, that they're scared of them. I wouldn't want to play either one of them.
No. Because to your point, like you said, I agree. Like I said, you find a way to get wins, but that's what it's all about because you need the bounces. Every team needs last year. Every bounce went Kansas City's way, right? Every penalty on a third down and then extended their drive. They wound up in a touchdown that was the go ahead and the game winner. You need those kinds of things. So there's no question. I've got about a minute left here. Looking at your crystal ball, give me 2 teams, one out of each conference that you're looking for to maybe shock the world here in the playoffs.
I think Tony asked me to do this last time. I'm so terrible at it. I'm the worst prognosticator in the world. I've been out of the prognostication, but I'm just so bad at it.
But here's the thing: we don't hold you to it. We just want to. We'll come back later and go. Well, Micah said.
You know what's weird, Larry? I get excited when I'm wrong because I own it all, and I think it's funny when I'm not wrong. Listen, I said at the time, I said I really think Tom Brady's going to be a bust in Tampa. So okay, that's what you can take my my guesses for. I want to say New England, but would they be any kind of a shocker at this point? I don't trust the Chargers. I don't know if I trust anyone. I don't even trust the Broncos. Maybe it could be Jacksonville. If Jacksonville can keep playing like this, I think they have as good a chance as anyone. So I will keep an eye on Jacksonville. I want to because we all have to pull for. Do you know anyone? Have you ever met anyone that's like, I hate the Jaguars? No one ever has said that because they're always irrelevant. No one cares. No one hates the bad teams. Everyone hates the Cowboys. No one hates the Jaguars. In the NFC, I can't say Philly. I won't be surprised if Philly does it, but I won't be surprised if they get bounced in the first round either. And I think that it's not gonna be anybody out of the South, that's for sure. Packers Jordan Love has the concussion now. I don't think that's gonna keep him out too long. You never know. Yeah. Parsons is out. Oh boy, it would have to be someone from the West. I think the Rams are the Seahawks probably, but let's go with the Seahawks. You and I, we're going to ride the Seahawks right now.
Here you go.
You like how I lumped you into my prognostication?
I just lumped you right in. I see that. Grab me by the arm and go, listen, let's go this way. Exactly.
Hey guys, guess what Larry said?
Exactly. I'll go with you. I'll go Seahawks and Jaguars because I'm with you. I think this is one where the Bears could wind up with the number 1 overall seed and lose their first game.
Yes.
I mean, it's just, and that's no diss against the Bears. It's just, to your point,
it's everybody.
Yeah, it's where we're at now in the NFL. Mike, I've kept you long enough, man. Great to talk with you as always. Happy holidays. Please be safe. And we'll later on we'll do a segment on NFL history.
You know where to find me. I'm in. Just say when and where.
All right, brother.
Happy holidays.
Take care, man. All right, thanks. Michael Warren joining us once again.
Take care.
Great to have back on the show. Heavy.com. Be sure to check him out there, and we'll be reading his stuff and getting him on the show again later on here in the Sports IQ. All right, quick timeout. We've got more to come. Stay with us. Hey, some quarterback news in college. Lenora Sellers says he is coming back for 2026. It's always a thing you need to declare that you're doing this because the portal officially opens, hard to believe, a week from Friday. And so the craziness of the coaching carousel will just transfer all that madness over to the player movement and who is going to wind up where for how much money. So Sellers, they really entered the season as a possible NFL prospect. This year did not go the way they thought it would for South Carolina. He says, yeah, I'm coming back next year. I'm going to run it back with Coach Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks. Meanwhile, another guy who's not going to run it back is Rocco Becht. He's the junior quarterback for Iowa State. Let's see. His coach just left to go to Penn State. I wonder where Rocco Becht is going to end up. One guess. It ends in State. Meanwhile, producer Tony, you're a Notre Dame guy. Notre Dame and USC, this rivalry is a staple, and it kind of hurts. I mean, I'm more of a casual fan of this. I don't have much invested as you do, but it bothers me that these two aren't going to play in 2026 or for the next few years.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the new football world, and I get it. Things change. As we get older, especially those of us who remember football in the 60s and 70s, we've seen rivalries come and go. Penn State Pitt was a staple for a long time in the 70s. That's gone. Oklahoma, Nebraska was a staple. Who, can forget the Nebraska-Oklahoma game with Johnny Rodgers on Thanksgiving weekend in the early 70s. Just a fabulous rivalry that everybody looked forward to. USC Notre Dame, one of those rivalries, the Anthony Davis years, the Trojan horse year that Notre Dame pulled out with the green jerseys. It's part of the fabric of college football. And to see it go away because they couldn't figure something out because of, what the Big Ten wants, what USC wants, how it all works out, it's really a shame because this is one that people, whether you were a Notre Dame or USC fan, you saw that on the calendar and went, that's a game I'm going to worth watching. So I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question. Even recent years, Notre Dame, Florida State, the Lou Holtz and Bobby Bowden years in that rivalry, that was big for a moment. You're exactly right. But I give credit to Notre Dame, the quick pivot to bring on BYU. Obviously, they felt that USC was getting cold feet for whatever reason. They talked about the committee kind of penalizing teams for late season losses. One of the reasons that USC talked about. Hope to bring it back in a few years, but I give credit for Notre Dame stepping up and getting BYU, a program with a great history and a program whose profile is elevated now that they're part of the Big 12. So a great move in both parts there. NFL season, NFL week, another week is in the books. Indiana, the Indianapolis Colts, it's a terrible, just all the injuries. Finally, that loss last night kind of sealing their coffin of what was once a very promising season.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about that before, but the NFL season is such a marathon. It is really all about staying healthy. If you start watching the injuries pile up, that's why, the Packers are hanging on to a wild card spot. That's great. I'm a Packer fan. They're going to make the playoffs. They're one and done. You cannot keep coming back from injury after injury and losing player after player. Even if you have some depth, nobody has that kind of depth to keep things alive, right? So the teams that should be favored as we head to home stretch are the ones who are the healthiest. Yeah. If you can keep guys off the injured list and keep offensive lines together, keep defensive secondaries together, keep wide receiver rooms together, you're going to be successful in the playoffs. And that's simply the way it is right now in the National Football League. You cannot tolerate, with a salary cap and with how much you're paying some quarterbacks, multiple injuries to frontline people. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, and we got about 30 seconds there. Micah pulled me into his prediction, which is wild because, as we said on the segment just now, it's wide open. Literally anybody could win this thing and wind up in the Super Bowl. But Jacksonville and Seattle, two of the more intriguing stories. And if you're a fan of either team, Why not?
Yeah, I mean, they both have possibility. I'm not really sold on either one just yet because I think both quarterbacks are a little Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. And I'm always expecting Dr. Jekyll to pop out of Sam Darnold. Same with Trevor Lawrence. So we'll see what happens come playoff time.
There you go. Well said. Moment of Awe is up next.
Fans of big sports radio and sports spectacular podcasts have a new home on the Chief Sports Network. Find your favorite programs and content all in one place by downloading the Chief Sports app in your mobile device. Created in South Carolina, the Chief Sports Network is the home of an expanding network of live and podcast format programming. It is also the home of one of the leading national college football podcasts, JC and Morgan, hosted by ESPN's Mike Morgan and 24/7 Sports' JC Sherbert. Download the Chief Sports app for free and find all of your favorite programming under one easy umbrella. Thanks to all of our markets for your loyal support of Big Sports Radio and our Sports Spectacular podcast, and we look forward to connecting with you anywhere in the world on the Chief Sports app.
Okay, time now for a moment of awe, and it goes out to Lindsey Vonn. We are in awe of her, the 41-year-old. 8 years after her last Olympics, she is back, heading to the Olympics for Team USA coming up in Italy in February. Knee replacement in 2024. Came back and got her first World Cup victory earlier this month. That was her first in 6 years and gave her enough points to qualify for Team USA. The 41-year-old Vonn, she said, if it wasn't Italy, she probably wouldn't have done this, but we're glad she did. We remain in awe. Much love, much respect going out to Lindsey Vonn, who gets our moment of awe. Thanks so much to our guest today, Adam Lichtenstein, stopping by, talking Miami Hurricanes, Michael Warren, talking NFL. We'll have both of them on again. Two great guests. Thanks to you as well. Make it a great Tuesday here on the Sports IQ. We will see you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith, Monday through Friday. Continue the conversation at Sports IQ LS. We'll see you next time.